the legacy that my mom has left in my life, and which I am, hopefully living out intentionally in my child with Courtney, but I also have 2 sons also. I also can see her imprint on my life in all the different things that I do. And it's one thing to see, I think once she was gone, I had a much more clear vision of what she left. Because, you're just kind of living life at the time and going through things and holidays and traditions. And then when she was gone and she was not the one doing those things, there was this huge void. So it's been really neat to see how my family's kind of filled that in and the things that we've carried on. I just told somebody last week, I just can't believe it's been 7 years because my mom's presence is so strong in my life and my family's life and kind of our extended family that it's like she's still here because we're over and over doing things that she said we're talking about her, but so much of what we do is because of her. And also my dad. It's been really neat to get to know my dad in a way that I would not have gotten to know him. My mom was a very vibrant, full force, and my dad is a little bit more reserved and shy. And so once my mom passed away, it kind of, instead of going through my mom to my dad all the time, my siblings have felt the same way. We've gotten to know my dad in a way that is incredibly precious. He's literally one of my best friends now, and so that's been really sweet. So my mom's legacy has been it's been great to just take time to really contemplate on that over the last week since I've been thinking about this. And, it's everything from how we do holidays and traditions, but there's a lot of other things that my mom left that I realize I'm following in her footsteps. And they're not really things that she sat me down and said, okay, Courtney, that's what I would say to her. Cindy, here's what you need to do with your life. But I just I guess I absorbed it. And my mom was a great teacher, and she taught Bible study. And one of the great joys of my life is to carry on the tradition of teaching that Bible study that she started. She wrote the Bible studies every week. So we have 11 years worth of Bible studies that my mom wrote every week. Some of my sweet Bible study ladies are here. And so for the last 7 years, we've carried on that tradition of teaching Bible study. She taught Sunday school. I've taught Sunday school since I came back to Waco 26 years ago. She counseled people. She was not a counselor. I'm a professional counselor, but my mom lived her life encouraging and helping people. And that's one of the ways that I meet people a lot of times. They'll just come up to me and go, your mom helped me through such a critical time in my life. I had brothers that struggled with addiction for years. And my mom helped a lot of people that she would never speak to us about because a lot of those conversations were very anonymous. But she loved sharing the heartache and tragedy that she lived through because she always told me, Cindy, it gives it purpose. It gives it purpose. And another gift that she gave to me was a gift for writing. My mom always wanted to write a book, and I had really felt led to write a book as well. And I went through cancer in 2005, and I knew that God had told me, you need to write about that journey and what God had done to help me through that journey, because it could help people who have gone through that, but also people that love someone that's struggling with cancer. And I didn't tell anybody I was writing this book because I didn't want that pressure. And I remember one day at Bible study when my mom was teaching, and she was talking about goals and things that we need to get on with if God's put it on our heart. And she outed me at Bible study. And she said, Cindy, like that book you're supposed to be writing that you said God told you to write. And everybody went, oh, you're writing a book? I'm like, I guess I am now. So, but I finished that book. It's called This Can't Be Happening. And I finished this book in September of 2010, and I had the manuscript. I was super excited, and my mom was like, I want to read it. I'm like, well, I just need to read it through a few more times, Well, it was that September of 2010 that my mom was stricken with a very rare and catastrophic disease, and it was called Guillain-Barré syndrome, and some of you might be familiar with that. And with that disease, a lot of people suffer from that, and then it takes time, but eventually they can recover. But my mom, in a matter of 24 hours, went from completely vibrant and healthy to completely and totally paralyzed, from the tip of her head to the tip of her toes. And she could not speak. She could not blink her eyes. She couldn't even breathe on her own in a matter of 24 hours. And it was incredibly difficult. She continued to live that way for 60 days. But what my mom taught me in life, what she taught me as she was preparing to go to heaven, were some of the greatest lessons that she ever left for me. And I would say also for my family. I chronicle kind of that 60-day journey in my other book called My Heart Hurts, Finding Hope in Heartache. And this is the book about that journey that my family went with her. But one of the things that happened is she couldn't speak, but we found out this way to communicate where she would kind of flicker her eyebrow for a yes, and she could very slightly move her jaw if you watch really closely, and that was our no. And so we would go through the alphabet A, B, C, and we got to the letter she wanted to say. She'd flicker her eyebrow a little bit, and we'd write it on a little marker board. And so we learned to communicate this way. And from the very first day my mom could communicate, it was about 7 days into it, she said, "Go be with God." And then she would spell out the next day, "Let me go. I want to go now. Please let me go," because she was on a life support. And but we were like, "No, we're going to see more doctors. We're going to try a different hospital." We flew specialists in from all over the country, and eventually they all came to the same tragic conclusion that she was not going to recover from that. But my mom was ready to go be with Jesus, and she knew it before we knew it. And just the faith that she had and the things that she communicated to us during that period of time that was so difficult was also inspiring. And even though the story of those 2 months was the hardest thing I've ever been through in my life, God's presence through that and the hope that he gave us through that was also brighter than it's ever been in my life. And that's what led to the story and to the book. Because, we all have gone through things that are tragic and difficult, but God sowing hope through that is what gets us through. And I just wanted to share that with people that were going through difficult times in their own lives. So when I wrote these books, and this is kind of where Courtney comes in this as well, when I wrote these books, I really wrote them to be able to offer people hope. And I wanted to be able to donate books to churches and hospitals, cancer centers, in different schools. We've donated books in America. We've gone to England and donated books. And to fund that, we had to figure out, well, okay, we can sell some books, but we're going to need more than sell the books if we're going to fund giving books away. And so Courtney, she's 14 now. She's an 8th grader at Midway Middle School, but she was just 9 at the time. And she, at the suggestion of a friend, had a way to help us fund these books so that we could offer these to people that needed hope. So I'm going to let her kind of tell you that part of the story.
Hi, yeah. So like my mom said, I'm Courtney, and the thing a friend suggested was that we make beaded bracelets to sell. So we started doing that when I was 9 years old, and me and my friends just get together sometimes, and we make these beaded bracelets, and they're $10, and every bracelet we sell covers the cost of a book that we can donate. So we have gone over pretty much all over the world speaking and sharing our message. We went to England last summer, all over the country, and we've gotten the chance to donate books to cancer centers and hospitals and churches and schools. So I think we've raised over $12,000 and given away over 1,000 books. So that's been a really incredible journey to go through alongside with my mom, and I kind of feel like I can be part of that. And I think a lot of what my mom shares definitely comes from my grandma, and I think that that's really cool that I can see some of that in my own life. As I go to school, I can see things like, oh yeah, my grandma kind of did that too. And some of the lessons I learned was like when I was, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years old, this is one of the most distinct memories I have of my grandmother. And there was this little perfume bottle, it was about this big, and I saw it all the time when I went to her house. And one day when I thought she wasn't looking, but she probably was, I just took it off the shelf and I walked away. And then she came up to me later and said, "Courtney, did you take that bottle?" And I said no, but it's like one of those things when moms know the real answer, so they just keep asking. So she asked me again, and I said, yes, I took it. And she told me that she was disappointed, but she forgave me and she let me keep it anyway. So that was something really cool that I learned. I didn't understand it at the time, but now that I see, that grace that she showed me, and so that's something that I remember throughout my daily life, and that's been really cool. And then I think one of the biggest things that my grandma emphasized in her life was spreading hope, and it's just been so cool having my mom do that with her books, that I can see that. And when we were talking about what we were talking about last night, I was trying to kind of think about things that I learned from Grandma, and Mom reminded me of when they knew that my grandma was going to pass away. My birthday was coming up, and they knew that there was a chance that she would pass away on my birthday. So they had been telling me for weeks, that Grandma was going to go see Jesus. And the night before my birthday, they found out that she was going to pass away the next day. So they got me and my brothers in a room, and they said, "Courtney, tomorrow Grandma's going to go see Jesus." And I said, "Wow, that is so cool," and I was so excited. And then my dad took me and got ready for bed, and I just think that was awesome that I thought of it that way, that my grandma passing away on my birthday may have been a sad thing in some people's eyes, but in my eyes, I thought it was a celebration. It was a great thing for that to happen. So that has been amazing having that, and I've learned how to spread hope to my friends at school and through doing this ministry. But I think the very most important thing my grandma taught me was that your legacy isn't about you. Your legacy is about God, and how you live your life and redirect all the attention to God. And I think that's just so important to remember, that not only does our legacy need to reflect, the right thing to do and spreading hope, but it's not just spreading hope, it's spreading hope that there is a God, and this God forgives you for your sins and sent his son to die for your sins. And that's just something incredible that I've learned and I've been able to share, thanks to the people who have been influential in my life, like my mom and my grandma. So thank you.
Thank you all very much.